Hello and welcome to the Ooze.tv. My name is Spencer Burke, your host for ThinkFwd. Today we have a very special guest, Cheri. It is an honor to be with you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us.
I'm really happy to be on your show here today.
Yeah. So we're at a conference here called Sustainable Faith, and sometimes people think about a sustainable faith and basically, you live almost an unsustainable life in some ways, but it's a challenging life. I love kind of the authenticity of what you bring to it. So maybe you could tell us just a little bit of your story.
Well, I'm a formerly homeless mother. I have 2 children, and many years ago, I almost froze to death with my 9-year-old son. And that's basically how I got into homeless activism, and I've been active ever since. And, you know, I consider my life to be fulfilled because every single day I'm able to be around the most giving people, which are generally poor and homeless people who share everything that they have. And it's an incredible experience. We're trying to build a massive movement to end poverty in this country, and we see ourselves as taking up where Dr. Martin Luther King left off.
Well, and you know, just to tell a little story on you. We're in a workshop today. It'll make me cry. No, I'm serious. We're sitting in a workshop today, and basically you're doing the talk, and someone comes in off the street, you know, and they need a little gas money, and you stop right in the middle, you know, and just say, we can solve this. And right there we were able to give enough collect just within that. And I think there's something beautiful about that, you know, and it's in your story that this thing connects, but sometimes we forget the needs are so close, and so there, and we don't have to ask permission. We could just go and do it. And it seems like that's what you're doing, you know.
Yeah, I think that we as people of faith right now are having important challenges that are being put in front of us, particularly in our churches. Every 13 seconds now, somebody's going into foreclosure. And most of the folks that are becoming homeless now are people that would rather die than tell anybody in their church that they're losing their home. So it's really important that we're conscious of that that's happening across this country, that loans are not being modified, that people were victims of banks and their mortgages were doubled through adjustable rate mortgages. And, you know, we just have to begin to really practice the teachings of Jesus, to look out for our brothers and our sisters and our neighbors, and really begin to get to know them. And I think together and with God on our side, we can meet whatever challenges come before us.
Yeah. And, you know, it's not an either or. I think it's important for us to reach out in other countries and create clean water and the well and the drillings. I mean, it's an amazing thing that so many people are doing. But talk to me a little bit about Detroit this last month, you know, and like, I mean,
yeah, right now there's 57,000 households that don't have any running water in their house. So that means, you know, not being able to bathe your children, not having drinking water, stuff to boil on the stove, and it's a real health issue. And, you know, most of us think of water as an issue that affects people that are in so-called third world countries. But water is becoming a real issue here, especially with the privatization issue and people being unable to pay their water bills. So, you know, we need to become aware of what's happening in our communities. And, you know, it's only like programs like this that we can get a glimpse on the truth of what's happening, because we're not seeing that reality on our televisions when we turn on the news at night.
When there's an abundance or stewardship issue or whatever you want to call it, I mean, there are places that are heated in the winter for property's sake, but not people's sake. I mean, talk to me a little bit about this as well. I mean,
yeah, in this country we have more abandoned houses that have heat on in the wintertime, particularly in the north, so that the pipes don't freeze and they break. And we have to ask ourselves the question, how come it is that we have babies living on the street and people dying every winter, and yet we have heated abandoned houses. Something's really wrong with that. And you know, if different parts in the world we can figure out how to house folks, and there's development issues, certainly in our wealthy country we can figure out you know, how to end poverty and homelessness. And I really think that poverty is a sin against God, and it's really man-made, especially in this country, because there's such an abundance in this country.
Yeah. Now, everybody's at a different place, but what I love that you challenge us to do is to at least take your next step. You know, but you've been in this beautiful process too on a personal level. Any insights or thoughts?
Well, I think that the thing that has really sustained me over the years is to really understand that it is a process, and to learn from history. To learn from Jesus and his, you know, daily life, and what a challenge it was every day just to have, you know, to live amongst the poor, and then to look at, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King, and before he was assassinated, he was trying to build a multiracial movement of the poor. And so I take a lot of strength from history, and I take a lot of strength from my faith. I really believe that when you're living out God's will and you listen to your calling, that good things come your way. And they really have. And right whenever I think, like, you know, we can't go another step, whether it's in one of our whatever march we have going on, or we're not going to have enough food, or there's not going to be any place for, you know, families that are losing their homes in Katrina or whatever, somehow, you know, a miracle comes through and we're able to figure those things out. But again, I just want to stress it's a very different time right now in history, and we've got to meet that challenge. You know, people are dying because they don't have access to health care. They're losing their homes in record numbers. They don't have running water. And we've got to be about the business of beginning to ask harder questions. Are we, in our wealthy country, going to continue to let people go without the basic necessities of life? Or are we going to fight for justice in our country and ensure that nobody goes to bed hungry?
Yeah. Well, and you know, each of us have to find out what we can do next. And but you also talked about an interesting idea of the power of protest is at least two ways. You know, there's about the issue, but also the encouragement.
Yeah, I think that, you know, some folks are like, oh, demonstrations and protests, you know, what's that really going to accomplish? And I think for poor people themselves, it's a way to show unity. It's a way to feel like other people care. It's a way to you know, lift their voices and to deal with the morale question, because it's really difficult. One of the most difficult things in dealing with poor folks is that when you have nothing, the only thing that you have left is your voice. And then once you know, the system or the, you know, the horrible injustice that people experience, they end up being beat down so bad that they lose that voice. And so we want to find that voice again and find avenues for them to talk about what it is to be homeless, and that they are human beings, and that they deserve to speak out about the horrible conditions that they're living in. And that's what we hope to do.
Well, thank you so much for not only sharing your words with us, but your life too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.